Beyond the Bizarre. Talking about those weird, strange, funky races that you may have only thought of having people play or seen someone do, and perhaps in the most terrible booty stank stagnant fashion. It makes you go, ooh, just a player's handbook for you, for everyone. You have a lot of people out there that they just want to take those Monster Manual races, those races from Monster Manual 4 or the Fiend Folio, and they want to abuse them. They want to play them for a line item. They want to play them for infravision or for a bonus to axes, a dex bump. They want to play them because they want to cast Magic Missile 9 times per day, to teleport, to regenerate, to have invulnerability to everything but silver, to be able to drink your blood, whatever it is. If it isn't about the psychology, it isn't about embracing the character, if it's just about statistical advantage. And that's the only reason they want to play them. So many people do that. Whether you're playing a bat thing that can dimension door like one of my commenters left, or you will play a centaur, or an orc, or troll, or troglodyte, or a warforge. When you're playing something that's odd, why are you playing it? That's generally the big question that you should ask of players. That say, oh, I have this idea to play a lizard man. I have this idea to play a drow elf. I have this idea to play a Githzerai. 2 reasons. I want a line item. I want a statistical advantage. I want a bump. I found the best way I can break the monk class is to do X, Y, and Z. I found the best thing I can do for my paladin is to make my paladin a terrestrial man-like intelligence, because then I'm like 40 stories tall. Seems like it works for me. I don't ever have to level up. That's fine. I'm still the Tarrasque with man-like intelligence. What you got on your plate? You understand? So there is a big problem there when you have characters like that, and Tarrasque is out there like, that's Tarrasquian for eat a dick, biatch. I know you didn't understand that, but I do speak Tarrasquian, and whether you know it or not, those words aren't Tarrasquian. So when you're investing, and I use it as the most absurd thing, and I have actually seen someone do that sometime, or heard of someone doing that in the game. I moved away from them quickly while they were trying to figure out what the hell ridiculousness they were doing. But it gets that absurd. Now, is the Tarrasque with man-like intelligence ever a viable D&D character for our D&D group? Of course, the answer is no. However, once we start going down the mountain, and we're in a pretty sharp decline from the Tarrasque to anything else you can think of. Once you hit the next thing, it starts getting a little bit more possible. If you're in it for the right reasons, if you're in it just for the psychology, player type number 2, rarer. But if you're not there for a strength bonus, if you're not there for the huge size advantage or so forth, playing a hill giant, we might be able to do that. I could see ways to make a hill giant work as a PC for myself. As a character I'd let someone in one of my games play. I'd let someone play a hill giant. I'd play a hill giant, maybe. I don't like hill giants, to be quite honest. But as a point here, I'm going to play a hill giant, right? I've made a character concept. And in my character concept, my character happens to be a hill giant. I'm like, well, okay, I'll play a hill giant. I'll play a hill giant necromancer. Yeah, son, you didn't know about that, did you? But I can dig up graves quick as hell. Boom! And the whole grave is dug. Yeah, didn't think about that, did you? Now I'm down there just robbing corpses, jumping in carts, rolling around with a 10 intelligence, because I'm the smartest. Hill giant there is. I'm a level 2 necromancer, son, and that's pretty much my cap. But yeah, baby, I can cast all kinds of necromantic spells. Chill touch, D4 damage. I could have breathed on you for that, but I'm gonna cast some necromancer spells because I've come up with a concept here, and I want to work that concept. I want to do that. I'm with it. I'm about it. The mentality, the mindset, not to get statistical edge, statistical bonuses. You got to watch people carefully with that. But in games I'm playing, game master, I'm doing that. I want to be quite honest. They know me. They know I'm not there to abuse or rape their game. I'm 100% on the opposite side. I'm there to enforce their game, to protect their game, to keep their game running, to make their game as fun for them as I can. Not to abuse it, not to lean on the other players, not to upset them, not to unbalance things. You know, at the end, they'll be like, damn, man, you're a hill giant necromancer. The tits, man. I love that character. He was great. Bring on the half of the hill giant necromancer. You know what I mean? He's going to be working. He's going to have a shovel. I'm going to be waffling people with shovels and just skulking. I grab the body, just pull it, and they're like trying to wake up, and I'm like, I gotta waffle them again with this shovel, right? Because I gotta make sure they're dead. Hell, a living body and no use to a necromancer. So right there, right, all right, you know, we've started. We've started something, you know. That could be interesting because it's about concept. And when your character starts with concept, he finishes with concept. Just like I started with concept and finished with concept. There's a lot in that concept. There's a big box there, but I didn't start with idea and then build, you know, something else. It's like I can kind of understand when people pick, like, oh, I'm gonna play a night hag, right? So I'll make a night hag. Shit, only way I can really make this night hag any kind of viable is to play a night hag fighter. It's not the way I would do it, but I can understand the mindset. Like that. That's far from my style, but it's not so far that I can't understand it. Playing a fighter, going, oh, what race would I pick? Oh, a night hag. That's so far from my style of play that I only can kind of understand it. I don't like to say I can't understand it, but like it's so different from how I play that I have extreme difficulty understanding that style of play. That's a shoot. I'm like, why would you? If you're gonna pick a race, don't pick a race for some bonuses. I mean that's incredibly important. The class is way less important to your overall role playing than your species is. It just is. If once I've designed my concept, it's almost immediate. You know, as soon as I have those first ideas that generate the character start populating in my head, a species is going to be there like that. You know, then other details like because with concept, class, you're kind of trying to figure out like, well, okay, my character would be a fisherman. And he's really good at cooking. Okay, what kind of class? Well, he'd probably be kind of more of a rough tumble badass. So he will be a fighter, or actually, you know, I think he may have some natural magical aptitudes. He'll be a sorcerer, or you know, I think maybe he's going to tell tales of yore or now. So he'll be a bard, or you know, he's out there. He's all savage and just you know eating raw fish and he don't give a damn. So he's going to be a barbarian, or you know, he's going to be a couple classes. Like, well, let me get a level of rogue here, and let me get some barbarian, and let me start mixing those two together, and then maybe I'll add some sorcerer later or something, so that I can bring all the different elements I want for the concept there. And it's not that important. Class is really overrated. It's really not that important to a character. I could kind of play the same character with a fighter or with a barbarian. Hell, I could even kind of play the same character with a fighter or a wizard. Like we could be that divergent. That's pretty much A to Z right there, and you can still kind of play the same character. You know, there are ways with feats and stuff that you could play. You could pretty much, without even buying any fighter levels, you could kind of make a badass wizard. Man, you run a high con, you run a high strength, you get a big ass weapon that you paid for with your feats. Like, oh, I got a two-handed sword, I'm a big burly ass dude. And, oh yes, I have armor. I purchased that shit too. You know. And then they never see when magic missile comes. They're like, oh no, fat animal prison. You know, they don't suspect that, which can be cool. You know, I played characters like that. I played multiple mages that look like fighters. Like, I use a Lucian hammer or a military fork or whatever. I'm just a straight wizard, dude. But I can select my feats because that's what I want. These are the things I want for my character. That's what feats give you, not an opportunity just to min-max. They're wonderful. They're currency. You spend that currency. You go, I want to be able to use a military fork. My character class does not give me a military fork. Oh yes, wait a minute. I can purchase military fork with a feat. That's wonderful. Now I have a military fork, so I can use a military fork. I played a wizard like that. Nobody knew he was a wizard like the third game session because I held off on my spells. I made them think I was a fighter. I worked, and then probably all the players there were probably saying, oh, he was like a fighter wizard. So they never knew. I just grabbed with a quickness on a military fork, and I ran my high status of strength. So I'm having like, I don't know, 16 strength or whatever I had, and a military fork, which I bought with a feat, instead of like a high intelligence and whatever else I would have bought, you know, is a min-maxer. I was like, no, I want to have a wizard with a high strength, because you never really see that. You never see a wizard that could actually whoop that ass, and my character could whoop that ass. But that made him less of a good wizard, but it made him more of a good wizard. It made him awesome, you know. It's just an additional thing. But it just doesn't make any sense to me where someone's just like, oh, I'm just going to play a lizard man because I want to have a natural armor class bonus. But my character would be identical if he was an elf or if he was a gnome or if he was a lizard man. There's no difference. It's just the same character because there's no character. There is no soul in it. Gotta put a little bit of soul in there, baby. A little bit of soul. And it goes a long way. Spark, resonance. And that's what your game master will love. Man, when you got a bunch of just cardboard cutouts with no soul, Man, that's a pain to run that. That's an agony for that game master. Guess what? When it's like 8th game session, he's like, yeah, man, fuck y'all. I ain't ever running for y'all again. Or, he's nicer than that. Like, yeah, well, I kind of burned out. And, yeah, when a game master's not getting burned out, what he's saying really is, fuck y'all. Y'all ruined this game for me. What's wrong with you? So you want to feed him. And as someone who feeds, man, I'll be feeding the game master like 4-course heroes banquets. Be like, have a hero's ass banquet of role playing splendid for your ass. Have ideas beyond what you'd even thought of. Here's 30 times the ideas on my character that everyone you've ever played with ever given you. Oh, look, is the game all about my character now? Sorry about that for the rest of y'all. Y'all might have thought about actually entertaining the game master. I did, and that worked pretty well for me. You just thought about power gaming. Oops. Guess you should have expended some of those 20 hours you put into making your optimized piece of garbage into optimizing the game master's enjoyment, because that's where you get a real win factor in. Because guess what the game master does? When he's scrapping for ideas and you've given him 917 ideas and the other players have given him a combined of 3 out of 5 players, and he's like, well, these 3 ideas are all but these 917 ideas are opulent. Even if you don't like all of them, he's probably finna like about 415 of them, so he's going to work plot with that, and guess who gets to benefit from that plot? This guy. And it can be you too. When you develop the character, when you have interesting ideas, when you have flaws and weaknesses. It doesn't matter if you're getting jacked. What matters is if you're not having stuff written for you. It's like playing a character in a movie. You want to be top billing or the guy way down here who they just never really had any cool scenes. You can make getting beat down a cool scene. You can make loss, a tragedy, a great scene. These are wonderful scenes. It doesn't have to be about you getting +5 souls of life stealing. It can be about you getting your parents killed, or having your sister abducted, or going through some other kind of horrendous trauma or change in this psychological. It's wonderful. There's so much gold that you can mine there. People they forget that, but I don't, and I'm there to just go ahead and grab all that. I'm going to tell you this right off. The majority of the games when I play in, the game master at some point, if we go for a while, will tell the other players this: I'm sorry this game has become so much about Andrew's character, and they try to be nice about it, and they say this: he's just giving me so much more than y'all have. He's giving me, they try to kind of minimize it, but what they're really saying is his ideas were awesome. His ideas are even better than the ideas I have for this game. So I'm just going to mine this, and y'all is just going to be there. You know what the players typically say? Well, that's okay, man. This game is great. So there you go, and that's what it works for. So I do pretty much down the line everything that inspires trust and confidence in the game master. When they do that, they'll let you do pretty much anything you want. I mean, I've played a bounty of strange characters. I love to play a Githyanki to get into that mindset and to all these bizarre things you can do with having that existence into the astral, to the dreamscape. I played an Oni. I mean, who the hell that got to play an ogre mage in a real game, in a great game, to finish, and the character was in no way any burden or problem. The other players loved it. The game master loved it. The character came across great, and I put weaknesses in there to add to it. Because I'll play Oni just to be badass. Well, no, I really want to play Oni. That's top list for me to play. Played it and I loved it, and it worked great in the game. It had so many opportunities to really add a lot of spice to that role-playing sandwich. You understand? The man got to have a sandwich. It's got to be a sandwich of spicy role-playing goodness. Now, when you can play that, when you can inspire them, when you're playing that species to play a hobgoblin, or to play a Githyanki, or to play an Oni, or to play a lizard man, or a centaur, or whatever it is, just to have that role-playing difference, can be great. And let's face it, man, like an elf is extraordinarily difficult to role-play well. And the reason I hated elves for so long, probably 95% of people that ever played elves have done a shit job with them. Let's just shoot on that. Elves are extraordinarily difficult to role-play. There's an enormous difference between the difficulty of playing an elf and any other species in the player's handbook. I would even say an elf is probably at least on the same level role-playing wise as an Oni, but it's different, right? I'm not just going to play an elf every time. So I'll play an Oni. Get this different psychology. So again, it's all about the psychology, all about the story. Or what kind of stories can we tell with these characters, and they get different. And when you have different stories, it really starts making some interest. Like a centaur, role-playing wise, is way easier to play than an elf. Way easier. Not even close. A centaur isn't a difficult character to play role-playing wise. Now, statistically, you know, it has a couple things that could actually be very detrimental. You know, you got like horse body. It's like, well, sorry about that dungeon quest, dude. You're gonna stay out here for the next 8 weeks of in character time because you're a fucking centaur. You can't do climbing down through this place. You ain't spelunking, dude. Sorry, sorry about that. Just sit here and guard our horses. Fucking horse, man. You know, so anatomically, I've always thought centaurs were bad. I try to always steer people away from them. But I mean, just in terms of role playing, I don't think it's particularly difficult. And any of the savage humanoids are way more easy to role play than, say, an elf, because the elf is the better self. A savage, a gnoll, or an orc, or a goblin, those are all very easy to role play. I won't say very easy, but they're not difficult. They're no more difficult to play than a half orc. If you can manage some role play, you can handle those things. You can handle a kobold. You could probably handle a hobgoblin, which I would put slightly above some of those others. If you can get a hobgoblin going and rock and roll in it, they can go well. And people love my hobgoblins. That's one of my really go-to monsters. I enjoy playing them, and I haven't had anybody in the last 5 campaigns. I'm not talking about like game sessions. I'm talking about campaigns. You know, year to 2 year long campaigns. No one's even trying to fight a hobgoblin. Not even trying, because they're terrifying. They've role played with them, and they've definitely from a point of respect. Ooh, hobgoblins. You can watch my video on hobgoblins. I'll put hobgoblins everywhere like a motherfucker. They're not there to do the job. There's other races that can do the job, and they're called kobolds. They're called goblins. And, you know, lots of things, but not a hobgoblin. Not to me. Not to say nobody could go over on them, but nobody tried. And part of the reason is because there's just so much interest there. Like, oh, this is such an interesting culture. Once you create a culture and you give some social aspect, some ecology to really be able to run across and bring those things to the role playing, fire. You know, that could be really interesting. You know, just like playing evil characters. I love to play evil character. And again, that's another red flag. Evil characters, strange characters. People, oh, those are red flags. I'm not gonna let that stuff fly. You know, you get these scarred game masters. If you see somebody goes, oh, I'm only let stuff in the base book, he's been scarred. He's been fucked by min masters and power gamers, guaranteed. I see people like that. I'm like, well, I don't really just want to play with the basic in that book stuff. I got these other books for a reason. I want to have some more spice in there. I want to use feats I don't see other people using. Not necessarily feats to have more power, but feats to have more diversity in my character concept. I don't want my character to look like other characters you've seen. And if I'm stuck with just in the basic book, like, that gets a lot harder. It's more difficult to operate. I'm going to find some ways to do it. I'm going to be playing a half-orc enchanter that you ain't never seen before. I mean, I can run all day long with stuff out of the base book and come up with some interesting concepts, but I don't want to have to do that when, you know, I can have some additional things to make it more interesting, make it more flavorful. Because if I can already do that here, I can add even more and make it a bit more interesting. And that's what I aim to do. Psychology, like with evil characters, I think people really don't understand it often. They don't understand really what evil means, and I think alignment systems did a very poor job of explaining that, particularly when they look at good. Like sometimes it's like, I'm cracking all the time. So good, I'll kill you. It's like, really? That's what good is? Just be murdering dudes? Are you kidding me? Are you a fool? You know, that's not good in my mind. Just rolling around murdering, genociding people. We went over there and killed all the gnolls who were on their property minding their own business so we could take their shit. We're chaotic good. I got questions about your alignment system, Mama. I got some questions here. Y'all sound eviler than more than me, but whatever. I have a real clause with that. So playing evil character, I think at D&D is just fine. If you're playing evil character just to, like, go around and rape everybody and burn villages down and kill the rest of the party, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good thing at all. That's not what I'm in it about, stealing everything. But there's a lot of types of evil that work very well. There's a lot of types of good that can be just as big a problem as what I've just said. I mean, very huge problems. So for me, the species, race, whatever you want to call it, is quintessentially part of a character. It's not something you can just retrofit on to get a cool ability. And when you're doing that and you're getting into the psychology, almost anything is game, man. It's like an ogre, that's fine. A hill giant, well, that's different, but okay. A lizard man, absolutely, all day long. A Gith Yankee, of course you could play a Gith Yankee, or a Gith Zerai, a centaur. All these things work just fine in my mind, and I think when you're coming at it to have that role-playing experience, which you should be doing with all characters in every way, it works great, man. So that's my thoughts on this Bazaar. Because some people, you know, they try to knock it, go, oh, that's butt playing. But when you bring it across to enjoy something new, something different, and it works out beautifully. What do you think?